I love X-Men. All my first comics were X-Men. Uncanny, Essential, Ultimate, I didn't care, mutants were my business. But with over 50 years of continuity, mostly, and over 200 frequently recurring characters, and a slight disconnect from the rest of the Marvel Universe, yeah, I get why people are hesitant. So this video is here to help ease you in to the vast continuity which is the X-Men. Let's start with the basics. The 5 original X-Men. Jean Grey, Marvel Girl, not yet the Phoenix, forget the movies. Scott Summers, Cyclops. Hank McCoy, Beast. Bobby Drake, Iceman, and Warren Worthington III, Angel. They're assembled by Charles Xavier, Professor X, to be students at Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. They become a fighting force in response to Magneto and his Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, where they threaten humanity. The evil is dropped out of the Brotherhood in later comics to try and help preserve some nuance. A second team of X-Men is brought together when the original X-Men are attacked by a mutant sentient island called Krakoa. This team comprises of many that will become fan favourites in later years, such as Wolverine, Storm, Colossus, and Nightcrawler. Many of the X-Men's most famous storylines revolve around the many deaths and revivals of Jean Grey. She eventually becomes host to a cosmic entity known as the Phoenix Force, which is originally benevolent, but becomes crazed and turns evil in the Dark Phoenix Saga, which is worth reading because the Phoenix is a plotline that literally and figuratively will not die, and you will need some level of familiarity with it. Another important storyline, and one of my personal favourites, is Days of Future Past, which introduces Kitty Pryde, and also the time travel element that becomes very important in late 80s and 90s comics. Oh, the 90s. Probably the only thing worth reading from 90s comics is Age of Apocalypse, and you might be able to skip that, except that Apocalypse, like the Phoenix, tends to reappear. Other commonly recurring villains are the Hellfire Club, sort of a mutant Freemasons, Weapon X that created Wolverine and trained Rogue in some continuities, and various anti-mutant hate groups that kind of start off as allegories for the KKK or Nazis, but morph over time into more like Westboro Baptist Church type groups. A great story to see this in is God Loves, Man Kills by Chris Claremont. One of X-Men's less talked about enemies is in fact Dracula. Vampires are part of the Marvel Universe that many people try to ignore. It is, however, the origin of the character of Blade. X-Man Jubilee, who was made most popular probably by the 90s cartoon, was turned into a vampire when Warren Ellis took over Joss Whedon's run on Astonishing X-Men. Many fans have never forgiven him. Which brings us to the modern history. You should absolutely read House of M. That's one of the essentials. It is this sort of seismic event in X-Men, and following it, there are only about 200-ish mutants left in the world, most of them living on the island of Utopia off the coast of San Francisco, led by Cyclops, Emma Frost, and Wolverine. Now, when mutants start to reappear all over the world, Cyclops becomes increasingly militaristic, and this makes Wolverine uncomfortable. He ends up leaving, bringing many students and X-Men with him. They set up the Jean Grey Memorial School in the place where the Xavier School had originally stood. Kitty Pryde becomes co-headmaster with Logan. Run Wolverine and the X-Men by Jason Aaron is a really great one for starting to get to know the X-Men, because it's the beginning of something. After that, a number of X-Men, including Cyclops and Colossus, are infected with the Phoenix Force, of course, by Tony Stark, of all people, for reasons that didn't make an awful lot of sense even at the time. They, of course, go insane. Cyclops ends up killing Professor Xavier, which divides the two factions of the X-Men more than ever. The Phoenix Force is destroyed, but don't get your hopes up that it's gone forever. In an attempt to heal these factions, Beast, in All New X-Men by Brian Michael Bendis, brings the original 5 X-Men forward in time so that they can remind the X-Men, what the original goals were. This doesn't actually work, and then the 5 original X-Men refuse to go back to the past until they help fix the present. That's when Battle of the Atom happens, which has been released as a single trade paperback and is very much worth reading. It draws together the work of a number of writers and artists, involves things coming from the future and alternate timelines, lots of time travel, but done well. And that pretty much brings you up to date with the all-universe stuff. Oh, also, Nightcrawler is back from the dead, and Jubilee is raising a baby she found and named Sugar. Yeah. If you followed all that, congratulations. You are now ready to jump into whatever X-Men book you are interested in. There are quite a number being published right now. There is All New X-Men, X-Men, Wolverine and the X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, Uncanny X-Force, a number of solo titles, Wolverine, Savage Wolverine, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, and an upcoming Storm book that I'm very excited for. Now, I don't read all of these, you don't need to read all of these, but frankly there's a lot of personal taste goes into which X-Men books appeal to you. They're all very different from each other in the characters they focus on and their tone, so a little trial and error and a lot of personal taste necessary. I've listed what I think are the 10 most vital X-Men books for understanding the history of the X-Men and also getting a sense of the diversity that you can expect from this world in the description. Good luck, happy reading, and I'll see you guys next week.